Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of JT Talks Jobs, where today I am going to be talking about how to change careers in 2020. This is a really popular topic. So many people want to pivot their career into either a new industry or a total new direction, total new skill set, but don't know what to do. So today I'm going to break it down for you, again, to give you some things to think about and even a couple of tips to help speed the process up for you. But before we get started, I always want to remind everyone this is a live show and we're going to be taking your questions. So as soon as I'm done the session, be sure to pop your questions in there. I have the most amazing coworkers and teammates who are pulling those questions together. And when I'm not looking at you in the camera here, I'm looking at the questions over here. So just keep that in mind and get your questions ready, okay? And also, if you want to get notifications when we're going live, one of the ways to do it is to follow the hashtag JTTalksJobs. And so you can do that over on LinkedIn, for example, where we're live streaming today. And you will find all of our previous recordings too. So if you've missed something, you can go back, you can watch them and get notifications. Another way you can do it is to follow me. So that's always a novel idea. Like on LinkedIn, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will get notifications when I go live. If you follow us at workitdaily.com, go over to the Work It Daily YouTube channel. You can follow us there, hit the bell, get instant notifications. And drum roll, if you follow me on TikTok, you will get notifications when we go live. By the way, hello, TikTok. Last night, thank you so much. We broke 1,000 followers on TikTok. And when you do that, it unlocks the ability to go live. So we are live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok, which just blows my mind. I feel so grateful that we can be here with all of you. For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, here's what you need to know about myself, my coworkers, and the whole crew at Work It Daily. We are on a mission to help 1 million people grow their careers. We think if we can help 1 million people empower themselves and start to get the career success and satisfaction they want, learn the new rules, that will have a ripple effect and that everyone will feel happier. So we're starting there. That's our goal in 2020. And the way we do that is by live streaming 3 times a week. So, all right, enough said. Thank you so much, everyone. Really psyched to have you here. Let's get down to the business of talking about changing careers. So I've got my fancy little slides here. First thing I want you to think about when we talk about changing careers is the fact that, hold on, I'll get up on the tree. You have got to signal in order to change lanes. So I always, when I'm talking about career change, I'm usually telling people, think about if you were like on the Autobahn in Germany. Never been on the Autobahn in Germany, but if I was, you know that you can, like, there's no speed limit is the rumor. Maybe there is one now, but you know, back in the day, there was no speed limit. You could go as fast as you want with those German engineered cars. And all I could think of is that you would never just switch lanes without signaling because you would take someone out if you were going 100 miles an hour, right? Well, that's the same thing when you are changing careers. Once you decide that you want to switch careers, that's great. You've made the decision in your mind, but you've got to ask yourself, has everyone else out there been made aware of the fact that you are planning to change? So you've got to signal, you've got to let the world know that you're going to switch gears, change lanes. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the logistics of how you do that. Because if you do that, folks, if you make people aware, it's going to be much easier for you to get traction in your career change. It's going to be easier for you to get help with your career change. People are going to come to you with maybe job opportunities, but they can't do that if they don't know about it. All right. Okay, so we've got that basic down. So this is my little Venn diagram. Sorry for those of you on TikTok. I don't have visuals. You can't see it, unfortunately, but imagine a Venn diagram, 3 circles all intersecting. And the top circle is labeled geography. And then there's one labeled industry and one labeled skill set. So this is an example of your network. And all of you that follow me know a couple of truths here. We believe you're not employees, you're businesses of one. It is your job to market your services. We also believe that your network is your net worth, because to market a business, you need a healthy network. You need a bunch of people that know about you and will spread what you do by word of mouth, right? And so your network really is your net worth these days. So you have to be thinking about, do I know people in my local area where I want to work? Do I know people in my industry? And do I know people in my skill set? And then that perfect little intersection in a Venn diagram where all 3 of those meet, that's like the sweet spot, because that's everybody that's near you, that's in your industry and in your skill set. So if you pivot careers, you're really shaking things up in your network. But that's not a bad thing, because if you look at the bigger picture of your network, there are lots of people you can talk to about this change who might be able to bring new people, attract new people into your network to build it up so that you can have the connections with the people that you need in order to get hired in the new industry you're looking to get into or in the new skill set that you're looking to get into. All right. So it's very important that I at least have you start to think about the structure of your network and the fact that, well, you might look at it and go, but I don't know anybody in the healthcare industry, JT, or, I don't know anybody in digital marketing. Well, your network does, I promise you, because they have their own little Venn diagram. And so it's going to be important that you put together some messaging and get the word out to help people understand what you're looking for and why you're looking for it so that your wonderful network can then start to help you pull new people in that are a match for what you're looking to do. Does that make sense to everybody? It's really important that we understand mentally and visually that concept so that we know just what a priority we have to put on networking in order to change careers. Here's the thing you have to think about. When you apply online already, oh my gosh, if you saw my TikTok last night about this, when you apply online, there's less than a 3% chance that anyone's ever going to contact you. And that's because right now in this economy and the ease of technology, everyone thinks the grass is greener someplace else. Everyone's like, oh, I've been at this job for a while. Maybe I should go look for a new job because it might be better there. It's a good economy. I should look. I shouldn't be foolish. So everyone's looking. So when companies used to get maybe 10 or 20 applications for a job, now technology is like one click, you apply online and off it goes. Now they're getting 100, 200, 300, 1,000 applicants. There's just too much competition. So now imagine you trying to change jobs. You want to change jobs, but you don't have the industry experience or you don't have the specific skills. If you apply to a job where you're not 100% match, you're not even getting looked at. You're getting tossed. So for career changers, the thing I want you to think about today is online applying, just applying online is not going to work for you. No recruiter or hiring manager is going to magically connect the dots because they're never going to see your application. The applicant tossing system, it's an ATS, applicant tracking system, but we call it the tossing system because that's what it's designed to do, is going to screen you out without a human being ever seeing your application because you weren't 100% match. So this is why you have to be thinking about network. You're going to have to conduct a proactive job search strategy in order to change careers because online applying is not going to work for you. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. Okay, so let's move on. There's another factor that's going to come into play for you. And that is when you finally get into the interview phase, you're going to have to convince 4 different types of people that you are the right person for the job. So again, this is something, and I've talked about it before. Years ago, I experienced sales training by a company called Miller Heiman, and they came up with this idea that salespeople should go look for these 4 buyers in an organization and make sure they become friends and meet the needs of each of these buyers in order to get this big sale. So you know me, you're a business of one, you're selling your services to an employer, you now want to sell into a new market. That's essentially what we're doing when we change careers, right? We're selling into a new market. I need you to do the same thing. I need you to get to know each of the buyers. Now, what's fascinating about this, and we can do a whole session on this another time, is that people will wear multiple hats. So you might have some people that are doing more than one of these things, but it's your job to figure out everyone that's making a hiring decision, what hat they're wearing. And so I'm quickly going to go through them. So there's the user buyer. So all the people that would be using your services on the job. So anyone that would be your, so to speak, your business partner in this new career you're trying to get into, you've got to make their lives easier. They're not going to vote for you. They're not going to pick you to do the job if they don't think you're going to take things off their plate as opposed to put them on your plate. So let's think about this for a second. And I challenge you all to put this in the comments. What would be an objection a user would have about you? So you're trying to change careers. Maybe you don't have the industry knowledge. Maybe you don't have the direct skill sets. Why do you think a user buyer is going to object and instead want somebody who comes from the industry and who has the experience? What do you think? Well, the answer is because if you don't know how to do the job, it's coming back on them. They might be too busy to train you or afraid you're not going to know what you're doing, going to create more work for them. So this is why a lot of times people aren't warming up to the idea of you joining their company when you don't have their exact background because they're fearful that it's going to put more on their plate. Let's talk about the technical buyer. The technical buyer is usually like a recruiter or an HR person. They've been told, go find me a bunch of candidates that 100% match these qualifications. So their job, they're being judged on how well they do their job by giving an exact match. So if you're not an exact match, are you meeting their needs? Nope, you're not. So again, you're up against that as well. Let's talk about the champion. So a champion is somebody that's in your court. So maybe this is, a friend or a friend of a friend or a former colleague who works at the organization or knows somebody really well who works at the organization. They're referring you in. What's in it for them is that they know you're going to be a good hire. They know that you're going to exceed expectations. You're going to really wow people, and then they're going to get the credit for it. So champions a lot of times are who get you referred into an organization. This is why 80% of all jobs today are happening via referral. That's why, because you start with a champion. So it's really good to have a champion in your court when you're trying to switch careers, right? You need somebody calling up and saying, yeah, I know she doesn't have that exact experience, but let me tell you why she is so awesome. So you need champions to help you pivot in your career. Okay. And that's an important one. Remember that. But also once you get into the organization and you start to, make friends in the interview process and you figure out the needs of the user buyer and the technical buyer, and you show them that, hey, I'm going to make good on this. I'm going to make it worth your while. You can turn people into champions. So that's always our goal. As we're out interviewing, we're trying to turn people into champions. And then the last one's the economic buyer. And this is really simple. This is the one person that can say no when everyone else says yes. So they're the one that is saying, will this person provide a good ROI, return on investment? They just care about the numbers. So in their mind, they need to know that you are going to save or make the company enough money to justify the cost of hiring you. Now remember, you don't have the industry experience or the skill set, so you're at a disadvantage. So this person's really going to need to see what is it about you and what you do that's so worth it that it's going to make up for the fact that you don't have these experiences. All right, so I'm going to stop there. This is why career change is more challenging. If everyone could just change lanes and go to a new career, it would be, piece of cake, and that's what people would do. There are barriers to making it happen. The first barrier is your network, which I just showed you. The second barrier is the sales process, which I just showed you. All of these people need to be convinced that in spite of the fact that you don't have the experience or the skills or the industry knowledge or whatever, in spite of all that, you really are the right candidate for the job. Now, at this point, people are going, oh my gosh, JT, so basically I'm never going to change careers. Not true. Not true. You can change careers. In fact, most people give up because of this. They try once or twice, right? They apply to a bunch of jobs online. They never hear back and they give up. They aren't armed with the same knowledge that I'm sharing with you today. So you've got an insider advantage. And I'm going to talk you through the technique you should use to get the word out to help people be your champions, because it all comes down to having champions. If you want to change career, folks, you have got to have champions, and you're going to have to develop them. And so today we're going to talk about how to do that. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So this is called the career change conversation checklist. And I was laughing so hard because at that point I'm like, can I just call it C4, right? Career change conversation checklist. Oh my gosh. 3 questions. You are going to want to reach out to your network and have conversations with people who know people in the industry you want to get into, or the skill set you want to get into, or know people at the companies that you're looking to get into. Whatever this change is about, you're going to have to do what's called informational interviewing. And if you don't know what that is, you definitely want to watch some videos on it, tutorials. We've got lots of great resources over at Work It Daily. Go over to workitdaily.com/resources. That's where we keep all of our free resources. workitdaily.com/resources. We store everything there for you. But informational interviewing is when you're not saying, hey, give me a job. It's, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. I want to learn from you. And I want to figure out how I'm going to make this happen for myself. I'm not expecting you to open any doors for me or get the job for me. What I'm looking to do is learn from you. I respect you. I admire you. I think I can gain some knowledge from you. And I want to share my story about, what's going on and why I'm making this change. So in order to be really effective in informational interviewing when you're making a career change, you need to answer these 3 questions in advance. You have to have really good answers to this stuff because it's all going to come up in your exchange. All right. So the first one is, what personal or professional life experience is drawing you to this new career path? So what is the compelling, and I have compelling in all caps for my TikTok folks out there, what is the compelling story behind your decision to want to make this big career change? That is going to be the number one thing everybody asks you. And it's very important that this answer showcase something called your intrinsic motivation, which is really just your internal motivation. What is the deep reason for you to want to get up and do this new job every day? Why? What is going to motivate you when times get tough and you're having to learn new things and you're dealing with challenges, or maybe you have to take a little bit of a cut in pay or whatever it is that's going to become your way? What's going to get you up every day and say, nope, this is it. This is what I want to do. So you got to tell a story around that. And stories matter because thanks to social media, it's all about the story now, right? It's all about the gram. It's all about the story. And so you've got to tell the story in a way that holds people's attention. So I've used this story before, but it's one of my favorites. And I'm going to give you an example. So I had a young man, he was like in his early 30s. He had managed a paint store. He was like a big chain of paint stores. He was a manager at one of them. Good career, good solid career. He came to me, he was recommended to me and our company. And he said, I want to get into financial services. I want to get into financial planning. Pretty big departure. And he's in his 30s, right? So he's got his career kind of on a track. He said, I really want to switch into financial services. If he was to just send off his resume to a bunch of companies, they probably wouldn't look at him. He's got no background. He's in his 30s. They're thinking too late. But I said to him, why? Like, what's this passion to suddenly get into financial services? And he proceeds to tell me the story about his father who died unexpectedly and who had owned a business. And unbeknownst to everyone, especially his mother, they were in financial ruin. The business was in trouble. So she inherited a failing business and a bad situation. He had to quickly jump in and teach himself everything there was to know about financial planning, estate planning, figuring things out. And when it was all said and done, he said he was able to sell the business, save his mother from being evicted from their home, and even have a little bit of a nest egg for her. And he said he never wants another person to go through that again. If he could get into an industry and a field where he could use that knowledge and help people not have that happen to them, that's what he wanted to do. Now that's a story, my friends. See, you hear that and you go, okay, see, this is someone I want to recommend. This is someone that I want to introduce to the financial community, which is exactly what happened. He got all sorts of interviews, 3 different job offers. He's in financial services. Story done, right? Career pivot. Everyone loved him because he had this compelling story. The more compelling the story about why you are deciding when you have this perfectly good career to switch gears, the better, because nobody's going to buy it. We are naturally pessimistic, especially recruiters. Recruiters they're cynical. All right. They've been lied to so many times. They've seen it all. You can't, they're looking for the hole in your story. So again, the more compelling and real and honest your story is, the better. Second thing you need to be prepared with is the skills you're planning to leverage in this new career and your proof that those skills are needed. So there's nothing worse. And I'm a career coach, so I have compassion and empathy for it, but I've seen it happen to people where they weren't so lucky. So they come to me, they say, JT, I need to make a career change. And I know I want to go into like nonprofit. All right. I'm done with the corporate world. I absolutely want to go into nonprofit. And I say, awesome. Okay. So why do you want to go into nonprofit? Well, I just want to make a difference in a world. I want to know that where my work matters. Okay. Kind of a light story, not a strong story there, not telling me enough. Then I ask the question, okay, well, what skills are you going to leverage? Oh, you know what? I'm just such a people person. I really just want to get there with and work with people and know that I'm making a difference. I'm like, okay. And how do you know those skills are needed? Well, you're in nonprofit, JT, and you just need to be a people person. You've lost me right there. You've not done your due diligence or your homework. So, this is when I work them through this process, but other people I'll tell you will go and they'll meet they'll ask to meet to the head of a nonprofit. They'll go in and the CEO of the nonprofit will ask these questions in the back of their mind. They're going, I'm not hiring you. The first time this job gets hard and you realize we have no money and we have no resources and it's, mega hours, it's totally a labor of love, you're going to jump ship because the homework hadn't been done. So whatever industry you're looking to get into, whatever type of career change you're looking to make, you have got to go and do your homework, talk to people in the industry and validate that the skills that you want to leverage next are in fact needed in that career. Okay. It is on you to figure that out. So when someone asks you, well, what skills are you planning to leverage? You can say, well, I'm glad you asked me that question. I've actually talked to a bunch of people in the industry. And as I understand it, one of the really important skill sets that you need, or one of the 3 skill sets that you need, are these. And this is how I have this background and experience to do that. So you're going to show them your transferable skills by first identifying what skills of yours are actually needed and prove that they're needed. That's going to show that you really are committed to this. Now, the last question that you need to prepare for this kind of conversation is your own gaps in knowledge, skills, and abilities. You cannot tell them that you're perfect for the job. You're not perfect for the job because you don't come from that background and experience. Never tell a recruiter or a hiring manager, a little tip here, that you're perfect for a job. No such thing. It just sends a completely wrong message. I've seen that in cover letters a lot. Love to meet with you and tell you why I'm perfect for this job. Don't say that. What you want to say is, hey, I know I'm not perfect for this job. I get it. I don't have these skills or I don't have this experience. But let's talk about how I could get that. What would it take for me to close the gap? What would it take? What would I need to have so that in spite of these particular gaps, I would still get hired for this? Right? And that's really important. You got to get honest with yourself about where the gaps are, which leads me to our next slide, because this is the secret, folks. When you're meeting with people, and you really want to try to meet with as many people as you can, the first tip I'm going to tell you is to always ask for guidance and insights as a way to earn trust and respect. So you want to tell them a little bit about, here's my passion and compelling story about why I want to get into the industry. Here are the skills that I've validated that I've been told that I have that would work in the industry. And here's my gaps in knowledge. Talk me through what you think it's going to take for me to be able to get a job and earn, a position in this industry. So you're going to ask for guidance around that. So that's what you're looking for in those meetings. It's very important that you gather that information so that they can tell you what roadblocks you're going to run into, not so we can give up. We're not going to give up, but so we can work around those. We can come up with them. It's funny, in sales training, they tell you objections are just questions. So when you get an objection, instead of immediately saying, I'm getting rejected, oh, they're shutting me down, they're saying no, realize that that's a question. They don't have enough knowledge, so they're making an assumption. So you've really got to explore where that assumption is coming from and why they're coming to the conclusion that, hey, you couldn't do this job or this would be a problem. That's what you're trying to explore in these. You want to gain insight into what are the perceived roadblocks and why they're perceiving them that way. That's the only way you're going to be able to change their mindset around that, which leads to my last tip. And that is, don't ask, can I make this change? Never go into any of these sessions saying, do you think I can switch careers? Do you think I can get into this? Because that is a yes or no question. And out of, just human nature, people will tend to go, yeah, no, it's going to be really hard for you. I don't think you can do it. You can't do it, right? Can or can't, they're going to go with can't because it's not perfect. Never ask, do you think I can get into the industry? Do I think I can get into this career? Instead say, talk to me about how, what's it going to take? What else am I going to have to do? What do I have? I know what I don't have. So let's talk about how I close that gap. Always think of it on the assumptive of this is going to happen. So tell me what I'm going to need to do to make it happen. Because it's very important they hear that confidence from you and know that you are committed. So you've got to make sure that you say it that way in order for it to work. Okay. All right. Did that make sense to everybody? So career change is possible. We see it happen all the time in Work It Daily. So many people join our platform because they're looking to make a career change and they need help rebranding their resume, rebranding their LinkedIn profile, creating the compelling story and putting that into a cover letter, doing their interview prep so that they can answer all of this. So today I just gave you the 30,000-foot view of the strategy of career change, but know that there's a lot of tactical elements that go into it too. And so if you're interested in learning those tactical elements and how to do it, you should go check us out at Work It Daily. That's exactly what we do. All right. We are a career growth club. We're the #1 online career coaching company. So you can come over there. It's less than a cost of a gym membership. Go over there, join us, start working with our career coaches today. Literally, instantly, you have access to them and you can start working on all your materials to make this career change. But if this all made sense to you, then hopefully you realize you can do this. You absolutely can do this. All right, so we're going to take some questions now. This is always my favorite part of live streaming is taking your questions. First one, I'm going to give a shout out to Robert on LinkedIn. What's up, Robert on LinkedIn? What advice do you have for a champion who is less than responsive after helping you get in the process? Ooh, that's a great question. So what Robert is saying is that somebody referred him in and was enthusiastic at the time, but now is going a bit radio silent. So what's probably happened, Robert, is that this person, one of two things has probably happened, is that this person either got feedback that you're not the candidate and they don't know how to tell you, or this person doesn't have as much clout and isn't getting responses back and doesn't want to be embarrassed to tell you, yeah, my contacts are blowing me off. Right. So either way, this person's feeling a little stuck. So when people go silent on you, it's because they're embarrassed and they don't know what to do next. My advice is take the pressure off this person. Totally take the pressure off them. Send them a note and say, hey, I can't thank you enough. Just getting a foot in the door, just having the experience. I owe you that. That was amazing. I expect nothing else. You've been great. I'll keep you posted as I go through the process. I know it's on me. I'm going to try to meet other people in the org. I'm really going to try to build up the base of people that I know, but I cannot thank you enough. You've been so helpful. Just let them off the hook. When they know that and they know that you're appreciative and you're not going to put any more pressure on them, they'll respond back. Okay. Great question. Awesome. All right. So we've got a question from Choing on YouTube. Hello. Is it a correct way to invest in our career and upgrade our skills by attending courses using our money? Because the company doesn't want to invest much in training and development that I want. I love this question. Okay. First of all, yes, absolutely. Listen, you're a business of one. I'm a broken record. I think I need t-shirts made, business of one. And the reality is that we have to stop thinking that our employers are going to pay for all our training. So we're a service provider. We want to stay relevant, right? We want to grow our careers. In fact, if you did not see yesterday's live stream, go to the hashtag JTTopsJobs or go over to our YouTube channel. It's live there. I was pretty hardcore with everybody yesterday. I had my being a, you know what, I can't swear on here, but I was kicking some, you know what, yesterday, really giving it to people straight about growing their careers. And so to your point, it's on us. We're a business. We want to stay in business. We want the best business partners. We want the best opportunities. We can't expect our employers to pay for all of our training. Figure it out. And they're only going to pay for training that they want you to have that serves them. It may not be enough. It may not be. They can't provide everything that you want. And I don't know why we all expect they should. I think that's the really outdated, I'm the employee way down here and they're the employer way up here mentality. You're a business partner. You provide value. Because here's the best part. When you invest in really good training for yourself, not only does the company benefit, but if you want to change companies, hey, that's going with you. You did it. You did the training. So absolutely. I love that you're thinking that way. It's a very smart and savvy business of one concept. All right. LinkedIn, Kathria. Hey, Kathria on LinkedIn. What are your thoughts on certifications versus degrees when changing careers? Yeah, it's a great question. I'm in the Gary V camp when it comes to degrees right now, not pro degree. I think people are spending way too much money on degrees that are never going to give them the return on the investment. And it makes me sick to my stomach when I see all these young people being saddled with debt. It's just wrong, you know? So I think certifications are great. My advice to you is wherever you look to get your certification, do some homework, find out who's getting the certification, find out where people are working. A thing that you could do is you could go on LinkedIn and look for all the people that have this certification from this place, or maybe wherever you're getting it will tell you. See if you can set up some informational interviews with those people and say, how's this working for you? Was this certification all that you needed? Are you happy with it? Not only would you get validation that it makes sense to get the certification, but you'll also network into some of these companies. I've seen this work brilliantly for people who are looking for a new opportunity. Okay. So yeah, I'm more of the certification camp than the degree camp. Hey, KB Storm over on YouTube, shout out. Can you give me examples of how to network into a company? Of course I can. Yeah. One of my favorite things to do. So first of all, we have this unbelievable tool called LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not a social network though. It's a social marketplace. It used to be a social network when it was smaller, and there was just this core group of early adopters who were really using it to its fullest. There was some incredible networking going on there early on. But just like any platform, as it got bigger, it evolved into something different. So now it's got 700 million users, more than half of which don't actively use the platform. Right? It's just like Facebook. Facebook is the white pages today. LinkedIn is the yellow pages. So you're going to network on LinkedIn on the yellow pages, and you are going to manage your expectations. First thing I want everybody here to understand. If you get 1 in 5 people on LinkedIn to accept your connection request, you're rocking it. You are just rocking it. Think about that, a 20% connection rate. If people don't respond to you and they don't connect with you, please don't take it as rejection. To me, rejection is when you've really invested time and energy. 2 people have invested time and energy into a relationship and somebody suddenly shuts down. That's rejection to me. There has been nothing really invested when you reach out to somebody that works at a company and they don't accept your connection request. So please just let that go and find 5 more people at the company and ask them to connect. The secret is to customize the connection request. So you want to make sure that the characters that they give you, that you say something that really compelling. You know, hey, we haven't met, but here's why I want to connect with you. And I've done previous tutorials on that. In fact, we have this awesome networking class over at Work It Daily. It's called Network Like a Boss. And we teach you how to customize those connection requests to increase the chances people accept. And the way that you do that, very quickly to explain it to you, is to learn how to study a person's profile and pick something out and use that as a way for them to know that you're not just sending a generic connection request. It's really important that you do that. So you want to send those out. You want to understand that if you get 1 out of 5 to connect, you're killing it. And you want to do that and try to amass your connections in that organization. Once you do, though, remember that it's a social marketplace. Like you're going to hang out and talk. And what you don't want to do is go in for the kill. So let's say you wanted to connect with me and you sent me this customized connection. I accept it. And all of a sudden you message me and you say, yeah, JT, so I really want to work at your company. That's weird to me. That would be like you walking up to me. We're at an event, hanging out. And you'd come up. Hey, JT. Hey, I really want to work at your company. Little too much, little too soon. What would be cool instead is if you said, hey, JT, we connected because we both share this same thing. And I thought you'd really enjoy this article, or I thought you'd really enjoy this video. Here's something that you might, like. So let's have a conversation. Let's get to know each other and talk about a shared interest. What do we nerd out on together? Let's do that for a little bit. And that will naturally segue into, so what do you do? Oh, what are you looking to do? Oh, you're looking to change careers? Okay. All right. So you've got to earn that just like we would in a normal face-to-face conversation. Same thing needs to happen on social media. Okay. I hope that helps. Wayne B over on YouTube. Hey there. I've experienced coordinating projects. I want to become a project coordinator, but I don't have direct experience in that role. How can I convince someone to give me an interview? So the first thing I would say is that there is something called the PMI. If you haven't researched it already, it's a Project Management Institute certification. It's a very difficult certification to get, and most people who build a career in project management have this certification. So this would be an awesome example, going back to that, of where I would say invest in a certification. So that's huge. I would definitely look at that. There's also project management organizations. There's one in my area, for example. They all get together once a month. There's a speaker and a topic. Wayne, you should definitely go and try to find the project management org in your area and start attending some sessions, networking, asking people, saying, look, this is why I love projects. Everything that I taught you today, that should be happening with that group. Also, I think you can find project management groups on, something like LinkedIn, and join that group and start to virtually connect with people that way. But going back to my earlier point, you've got to look at your Venn diagram of connections, and you've got to start to build up conversations so that people understand they're not just going to give you that job or give you that interview because you enjoy managing projects. There's so much more to it than that. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Question from Aletta over on LinkedIn. How do you handle it when you are getting conflicting advice from industry professionals on your career change and transferable skills? Oh, that's interesting. So in this case, I would say the law of averages. If you are getting conflicting advice, make a column, all right, and put the different types of advice that you've received, in each column. And then for every person that you meet, check off which pieces of advice they gave you. And I want you to keep going until one emerges clearly as the winner. So I'm thinking, based on what you're hearing, if you've got conflicting, you don't have enough advice. You need to go get more, and you need more conversations. And anytime you get advice that you don't like, dig deeper. Why? Why are you saying I can't do that? But what if I could? What has to happen so I could? Remember, folks, career change comes down to 100% believing it's going to happen and not stopping till it does. That's the truth. People who make career changes, they've already decided in their head they're not turning back, and they're just going to keep going till it happens. And even if it's a marathon to get there, they're going to do it. So you've got to take that conflicting advice, basically categorize it, and keep going until you get enough advice for you to know what to do next. Okay? Awesome. Gladys. Hey, Gladys on LinkedIn. How can we overcome barriers that people have that you're looking to take their spot or not wanting you in their place? I get we need to look out for ourselves, but we should also be able to help one another by mentoring or sharing information about work or places hiring. Yeah, okay, so this is a great question. Gladys, I'm glad you asked it. All right. When you are looking for a job, if someone is acting like they're threatened by you, it's because they don't see the value that you're going to give them. As you just pointed out, they're seeing that either you're going to add more to their plate or you're going to take something for them. You're going to put them at risk. So what you haven't done in this situation is successfully explored what it's going to take for this person to feel safe and feel in partnership with you and see the value in working with you. So you're just not there yet. Their objection is just a question. And what you want to do is say, what would need to happen for me to be able to get into this so that your career got elevated? How would me pivoting into this career elevate your career? What would that need to look like? What would have to happen so that you win and I win? See? So paint the scenario of what you want to make happen so that it's a win-win for them, and talk about what would have to happen. And that's going to make them have to think of the answer and give you that answer. If they say, I don't know, I don't see any upside here. I say, well, let's work until we do. What's the upside of this? How am I taking something off your plate and freeing you up to do more of what you love, more of what you're good at? See, that's one strategy is you're so good at this, yet you're stuck doing that. So if I could take that off your plate, I could pivot my career and you could do more of what you're fantastic at and want to be doing. So that's what you want to explore with people to get them to get that buy-in. Because as I explained yesterday, we were talking about career growth. When a market correction hits, and none of us know when that's going to hit, but when we do, I've lived through 3 recessions, so I know what it looks like. And when that hits, the people that are invaluable to the manager, meaning if they left, all of that work would come back on the manager, those are the people that don't lose their jobs. So the more multifaceted you are, the more that the headaches that you take off a manager's plate, the more indispensable you are. Meanwhile, if anyone can do your job and can potentially do it better, faster, cheaper, you're at risk. And again, yesterday I was being a real tough person about those realities. If you have not watched that tutorial, I encourage you to do so because we talk about that as well. But that's what I would do when you're not getting buy-in. All right, Jason says, hey, Jason on LinkedIn, what if you can't figure out what you are passionate about, but want to change careers or already have and are not finding employment? Yeah, that's a great question. A big part of what we do at Work It Daily, so all of our career coaches are trained by me, and a big part of what we do is help people bring in an alignment, their skills, what they're strong at, and a problem bigger than them that they want to solve. Because in my many years of doing this, what I've learned is that when you do work that intersects between, hey, this is a problem that I care about solving in the world. This is the kind of impact I want to have on people. And when you say, these are the skills I want to use to have that impact, that's where that beautiful sweet spot of career satisfaction sits. And it eludes so many people because we don't do enough due diligence on it. In fact, I talk about this. We want to help 1 million people. Nobody taught us this stuff in school. There was no extensive career planning or career research in school. Okay. I don't know why, but it's a travesty. But meanwhile, imagine this, our whole lives from the time we're little till we graduate from high school or college or whatever our last education is, we have teachers, right? We have people in our lives who are mentoring us, coaching us, helping us. Then we graduate, and apparently we're supposed to do it all by ourselves after that. And a lot of people falsely assume that their boss should be their career coach. Your boss is paying you to do a job. All they care about is them getting the most out of you, right? You might even have a great boss, but please understand when push comes to shove, they're being paid by the employer. They're going to side with the employer. Always need to understand that. So you need someone coaching you. And this is, a lot of people go, what's wrong with me? Why don't I know what I want to do? And why can't I figure this out? There is nothing wrong with you. Everyone out there that's feeling that way, there is nothing wrong with you. You just haven't gone through the process of assessing your skills, doing a professional strengths assessment, and then matching that against career interests in a way that can scientifically narrow down the search for you. No one's done that with you. That's all it is. So at Worky Daily, for example, we have an entire course called the Professional Strengths Assessment. You take 7 different assessment tests, and then you look at that data all together, and it helps you figure out, okay, this is who I am, and this is the value that I create. And then we introduce you to the Career Interest Game by Dr. John Holland that helps you narrow in and look at those career interests so that you can find 3, 4, 5 careers that fit for you and then work off of that. See, if you have that blueprint, it's much easier. But right now, it's like the way we do career selection is like going into an ice cream parlor that has 365 flavors and saying, pick one. It's overwhelming, versus if we went in and they said there's vanilla and chocolate, we would quickly be able to make a decision. This is the problem with career search today. We've just said you can be anything that you want, but we've given no structure to how we assess ourselves and match ourselves against careers. So I understand your pain, and I'm telling you, good news is there's nothing wrong. Everybody deals with it. You just need some strengths assessment and then map it so that you can dial in the number of options. Okay, I hope that helps. Drew is saying, hey, Drew on LinkedIn, how do you overcome the guilt about leaving a job when you love your job, but you need to leave to grow? Yeah, that's tough. It's first of all, I commend you because that's a sign of somebody that truly understands that you got to get out of your comfort zone. Hats off, Drew. It's really hard. So if you love your job, but you need to grow, then go grow. And I think that you tell them that, and you tell them everything that you've learned, and you do what you can to try to leave the door open. But you just do it. You know that you just can't always be there. It happens. It absolutely happens. Here's something, I've been in this industry for a long time and been a manager for a long time and a career coach. And when people come to me and they say they're leaving, I get it. It happens. And I think that they worry that, okay, we won't find someone, but unless you literally do brain surgery or rocket science, they're going to be okay. The company's going to be okay. It might be a little bit of headache. It might be a little bit of challenge, but ultimately in the end, it's going to open up a new opportunity for somebody else in that organization to step up. It's going to create new opportunities for the company to look at something different. It's going to be okay. So you just need to do that and be grateful and appreciative and do what you can to leave the door open, but push yourself to go grow. And it's interesting because hopefully you've tried to talk to them about how you can grow there. Because here's the one thing I will tell you, and here's the one risk about changing careers, folks, that I think we all need to talk about. Once you get into a career and specifically a job for a while, you build up a lot of trust and respect, and that's currency. Trust, respect, the processes of the organization, how to do things a certain way. No two companies are the same. So you build that all up, and that's power to you. When you go to a new employer, you don't bring all that power with you. You just don't. We like to think we do, but let me tell you how many people I've seen move to a new job. Hey, I went over there because it's a big pay raise and I'm going to be in charge, and I wasn't being given that opportunity at my current employer. Okay. And then they get over there and they fail. And they fail because they didn't realize everything they had that they had built up by being at that company. So my advice to you is that if you're feeling like you can't grow at your employer, promise me that you've exhausted every option to talk to your manager and whoever else to figure out what you could do to grow so that you stay. Because you've got all this power invested in this, and too many people are jumping and not building up and leveraging that within their organization. Okay. Awesome. All right. Evelyn says, I'm applying to an internal opportunity that is a different career path. Okay. Would you advise reaching out to the hiring manager directly? Ooh, okay. So this is a little bit of a political thing. So first of all, is your current boss aware that you are looking to make a pivot? And will your current boss be thoroughly blindsided if you do make this pivot? So I would think about that first. And then based on that response, so let's say your boss is fully in the know, then it would be easier for your boss to actually say, I'll introduce you to the hiring manager, which again, using that coach technique would improve the chances that you get the job. If your boss is going to be blindsided, then yes, you could reach out to the hiring manager, but you want to do it confidentially. And you want to say, look, I'm interested in making a career change. My current boss here doesn't know about that, because if I'm not a fit, and if you don't think I'm a fit, then I don't want to rock the boat and upset him or her. But I was wondering if we might have a confidential conversation about whether or not you might think that I'm a fit for this. I have a very compelling story about why I want to make the change into this area. I have assessed my skill sets and confirmed that I have skills that would could be leveraged in this role, but I also know that I've got gaps and I've recognized those too. So I was hoping to talk that through with you and see about the probability. So see how you're talking a very balanced tone. I would do that in private with that manager and just say, look, I don't want to rock the boat with my current situation if you're thinking I'm not a fit. So you really want to be careful with that. Okay, great. Okay. Michael says from LinkedIn, career change can be scary. Is it really a good idea? Can it be worth it? Yeah, it can be worth it. Absolutely. And it can be scary and it does take time. But what's the alternative? So I don't know how many times I've shared my own story here, folks, but I graduated in a recession. And I did the classic moving up the career ladder, kind of jumping jobs, doing what I had to do, doing what society told me to do. And at 33, I was in HR and recruiting in the staffing industry, and I was running a very large division of a company, and I had a big, 6-figure salary and a car allowance and 30-something employees reporting to me. I had the big girl job, and I was miserable. I had a house that I was never in. I had a new husband that I never saw. My dogs that I never saw. I was out of touch with family and friends. I always say this because it pains me to this day. There was a sticky note on my desk from my assistant saying, call your mom. She said, it's important. It's urgent. It's like a week old. Just out of touch, right? Just out of touch. And it wasn't until the birth of my daughter, I had every intention of going back to work, birth my daughter, where I said, whoa, I don't like this version of me, and I'm going to be her main teacher in life, and she's going to take her cues from me. And the idea of doing this for the next 20 or 30 years just feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. And so imagine me going to my husband and saying, how do you feel about me quitting and figuring this out? I think I'm having a mid-career crisis. Can I figure this out? And so that's what I did. And I wouldn't advise other people just quit and start over. I'd obviously saved up enough money to be able to explore that. But I immediately went into figuring it out. And that's how I ended up in career coaching. When I looked at the skills that I love to use the most in all of my work up to that point, and when I looked at the people that I wanted to have an impact on, that was the intersection. So I practice what I preach. And has that journey been seamless? Absolutely not. I've had to teach myself new things, but I'm in a career that I love it more than ever. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't get out of my comfort zone and realize that I would have been miserable the next 20, 30 years. Who knows who I would have been. I'm so glad I'm not that person. And I think I have to say that to you, that Michael, if you're sitting there, and everyone else out there listening, if you're going, I want to make a career change, but it just sounds like so much work. But gosh, every day I go to work, it's a little harder, and my heart gets a little heavier, and I get a little less enthused, and I'm getting a little snarkier to my coworkers, and I'm not getting as involved in stuff. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to be let go, to be laid off. And sometimes I think people do that. Sometimes I think they ignore it like a paper cut, and they say, well, if I just wait long enough, I'll get fired, or something will happen that will force my hand and force me to make a career change. And my problem with that, because if that's happening deep in the back of your mind, not a good way to pivot careers. Ask anybody that's ever lost their job. It is very hard to find a job when you don't have a job, when you're between jobs. Studies show that, like it or not, we get discriminated against for being between jobs. So now trying to change careers on top of that, very difficult. So you've got to have that mentality, that motivation, everything that I talked about today in order to make it happen. And I would rather you do that now while you have a job and while you have the energy and the mindset versus when you're in basically your lowest point. So the answer is yes, it can be great. You got to think ahead. Is this really what you want to do for the next 20, 30 years? Is that really it, Michael? If it isn't, it's time for a change. Okay. Awesome. That was a great question. All right. I've got time for a few more, and it looks like we are going to go off topic. So we handled the career change questions. We're going to take some general questions now. Carrie from YouTube says, I asked for a one-on-one with my boss today after he was avoiding giving me training and not assigning tasks. May I ask how to strategize the meeting to look professional? Yeah. Okay, Carrie. So Carrie picked up on a cue that her boss is not believing in her. So think about it. You're a business partner, and your business partner, aka your boss, is not giving you the things that you need to improve your relationship. That's how you want to look at it. Right. And so we're concerned something's wrong. So Carrie, you want to go in And you want to open up with some things, a couple of things I would say to your boss. First of all, how much you care about your job and how much you respect your manager and how whatever you've learned from your manager. So don't just say those things because that's lip service. You need to back it up with fact. So if I was going to go into this manager, I would say, I really value and respect you. Since I've been here, I've learned this, I've learned that, I've learned this. This is why I appreciate the job so much. And this is why I actually want to build my skills to be of more value to you. I want to do some training and I want to do some things that make your life easier, that take things off your plate, that add more value so that I am providing more return. I want to be more of a business partner with you. And so I've asked recently for some things that, kind of got shot down. And my concern is that maybe you're not seeing me as a good enough business partner or worthy of those things. And I really want to be. So can we talk about what I would need to do for you to want to be able to invest in me that way so that you're really going to get the return on the investment that you need? Are there things that you need me to do to earn those opportunities? Am I not meeting your expectations in some way? What's going on that I can make sure that my relationship with you is the best that it possibly can be so that you're going to have 100% confidence in investing in this relationship and helping me upskill, right? So see how you frame that out? And there's empathy there. There's understanding that obviously somehow the expectations of your boss are not being met, or that's the appearance that it's giving. And that's important to you because you have respect for them. You've learned a lot. You want to continue to build and strengthen this relationship and use those terms, right? Those are important terms. And if you do that, you should get a really, hopefully a really honest response. And you may, brace yourself. You may not like what you hear. You may find out that you've been missing the mark in some way or they're really disappointed. Don't react. Don't get defensive. You're going in and asking for this stuff. Whatever they tell you, just let it land. Take it all in, especially if it's stuff you don't like, and say, I'm so appreciative for all this feedback. I want to take it in. I want to think about it. And I want to make sure that I can give you a great response. You don't have to respond right there on the spot, especially if it's negative. Want to take it in, debrief it, work with your career coach on it, and make sure that you get to a place that you can figure out next steps, okay? But hopefully, if you have that honest conversation, you two can start to work on that relationship. All right. Patrick, any advice on military individuals transitioning? Yes, Patrick. So first of all, thank you for your service. I hope a lot of people have said that to you. Shout out to you. It means a lot to all of us, you serving our country. And probably the hardest thing for people ex-military is actually transferring their resume and saying, hey, here's what I did in the military and here's how it applies to other jobs. So you're a really good candidate for a professional strengths assessment. You're going to want to understand what those translate into and then start to map those to potential opportunities. So that compelling story needs to be there. Unfortunately, and I'm sorry for this, the private sector is not good at connecting the dots and understanding that if you did this with military trucks and whatever, it transfers into this. We're just not good at it. So, but there are people that can help you with this, right? And when you figure that out for yourself, you're going to be more compelling. And then the other thing that you want to do is get out there and informational interview as much as possible. So you are a beautiful candidate for something called a bucket list, an interview bucket list. And it's a technique we teach at Work It Daily. We have this thing called a job search plan, and you go step by step by step through the proactive job search, building your tools and executing. And at the midpoint of this, you build something called an interview bucket list where you say, these are the companies that I most admire the product or the service that they create, and here are the reasons why. So it's your job to validate and prove what about your own life experience has taught you that what they're doing is good. So essentially, you have to really figure out why you have a positive connection feeling to a company, which helps you figure out why you're part of their tribe. Remember that compelling reason why you want to switch careers? Well, same thing, compelling reason why this would be a company you'd want to work for. And then based on that, you want to be able to set up informational interviews and go in and say, I'm ex-military. I'm trying to figure out how to transition. These are the skills I know I want to leverage. Do you use these types of skills at this company? Here's why you're on my bucket list. You're one of the 10 companies I dream of working for in the local area. Here's why. Here are my skills. What else would I need? If I wanted to work here someday, what's it going to take? Again, going on that very positive assumptive, what would have to happen? And if you do that enough times, you're going to get the answers that you need. And candidly, you're going to get somebody to go, well, actually, you have all the skills you need. Let's interview you. That's how it works. That's how you find out about the jobs that aren't even posted. It's called the hidden job market, and it is out there. It's real. So opportunity to do that for sure. Okay, Carla says, I'm 56. I've been with the company for 18 years, but it's time to change in a new direction. I'm looking into coaching. Do you have any suggestions? Oh, that's so cool, Carla. Yes, coaching is an up and coming area. You're going to see more and more of it. Carla, I would first decide what kind of coaching you want to do, and then I would explore certifications. You don't need to go back to school. There's no college degree that you need to get for coaching. There are a lot of awesome certifications out there. And at this point, a lot that are linked to a specific type of coaching that you want to do, because life coaching is different than wellness coaching, that's different than business coaching, that's different than career coaching, right? So you want to find that. And then you want to think about how you want to coach. So are you going to set up practice and meet with people in person? Are you going to do something online? Like, so for me, I had a private practice, and then I realized I wanted to help people at scale. And the only way to help more people was to take advantage of technology and build a completely virtual career coaching practice, which is what Work It Daily is. It's a virtual career coaching practice. And that lets us work with people all around the world, right? So you have to think about how you want to coach, what your skills are in coaching, how you would best utilize those, and what type of coaching you want to do. But yeah, and the fact that you've been with your company 18 years, this is a beautiful example. If I were you, I'd make it your hobby career. I would stay employed with this company, and I would start to build up your coaching and your coaching practice part-time outside of work, get credibility, maybe work with some people in the office, and then slowly make that transition. Most people don't realize you can't make a living off of coaching just by jumping into coaching, because there's so much more you need to do if you're going to be in business for yourself. The marketing aspect of it, the operational aspect of it. When I learned early on in coaching, you would get some clients and you would be so busy working with clients that you weren't working on the business. Well, when the client stopped, now you had to go back to working on the business. So you deal with these peaks and valleys of your earning. So if a solid paycheck is still important to you at this point, then you're going to have to think about, okay, could I do this coaching in some kind of full-time job capacity? What does that look like, right? So there's a lot of research you're going to want to do here, but it starts with figuring out what kind of coaching you want to do and what, how you want to execute that coaching. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helped. All right. Angel says, I've changed my search for a new job. How can I get noticed faster? I've been trying for quite a while now on how I can stand out. Okay, Angel. Well, I would definitely tell you go back and watch the beginning of this recording, because I walk you through the aspects of it. If you've been looking for a while and it's not sticking, I can tell you 100% it's because you're not signaling, that people are not connecting the dots about you making this change, and they're not feeling that it would work. So you've got to overcome that. You've got to overcome those objections. You've got to answer those questions. You've got to make sure that more and more people are seeing that you are right for this kind of work. And just applying online isn't going to do that. And I walk you through the reasons why. So definitely go back. Everyone can watch this recording. Go to hashtag JT Talks Jobs. It goes right into that feed, and you guys would be able to find it there. But it's so important. If you are out looking for work right now, folks, and you're not getting any response, and I hate to say this out loud, but it means you're not really looking for work. And again, if to know and understand what that means, it's kind of a perfect segue. If you go over to workitdaily.com/resources, I have a video training called the #1 Job Search Killer, where I walk you through what is killing your job search right now. I walk you through all the aspects. There's actually 8 aspects of your job search that you need to consider. And my guess is if anybody on here is not getting traction with their job search right now, one or more of these, maybe even all 8, are holding you back and you don't even know it. And so you're doing what you think is the right thing to do, and it's not working. And so go over to resources, workitdaily.com/resources, watch the #1 Job Search Killer. That is going to give you so many aha moments about what's really happening and why this isn't working for you. And it's something I'm really passionate about, because I've got so many people out there looking for work and just frustrated, and they shouldn't be. If they knew the right things to do, if they knew the new rules, it would go a lot faster. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, you guys. It's so amazing. An hour goes really fast here. Please come back tomorrow. So tomorrow is live Q&A, which means we're going to have dial-in. You're going to be able to be on live with me here. So it's not just me in the chat. It's actually you on here. So if you're interested in coming and hanging out on my career couch and me telling you advice or answering your questions, come back tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Otherwise, thank you so much. I hope today helped. Please, if you're ready for a career change, make it happen. Just follow the tips and make it happen. All right. And remember this, if you want to win, you got to work it daily. So come back and we'll talk some more tomorrow. Okay. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.